Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel here at Secret Garden Farms. I'm Suzanne and today we're going to talk baked suet cakes. If you don't know what baked suet cakes are, I'm so glad you joined us today for this video. If this is the first time watching, thanks so much for joining us. Feel free to hit on that subscribe button, and if you want to get our updates right away, hit on that notification bell on the side. If you've been on our channel before, thanks so much for staying with us and continuing to watch our content here at Secret Garden Farms. Baked suet cakes, what is it? It is chicken food for the winter, and it's going to make your chickens lay all winter long. There was only one other video out there that I found about baked suet cakes, and as soon as I find the video again, I am going to give it credit down in the description. Everybody else was making cold suet cakes, which are made from fat renderings from animal fat, such as beef fat or pork fat. So today we're going to bake them because here where we live in the winter, it gets super cold at night, but during the day the sun can be so warm that it even gets up into the 70s, and we didn't want the suet cakes to melt in the renderings. So we are baking them, and we're going to give you a secret that keeps them laying all winter long despite how cold it gets, and even though they don't have enough hours to watch. So what are we going to put into those suet cakes? I have a few ingredients here. I did try it out a couple of days ago before I made this video to see how that comes out. And I did learn my lessons from it, so I'm going to teach that to you too today. So in the suet cakes, you can really put anything in there that you usually would feed your chickens. Any kind of chicken scratch, grains that you already have on hand, chicken feed. You can go out and buy some of the different items, but I would recommend go with stuff that you already have for the most part, that you would feed them anyway, and then maybe add one or two ingredients that you usually wouldn't add in there. So today, the one thing that I really had to purchase was molasses. I have never worked with molasses before. That was a new one on us, and I know a lot of people bake with it, make malts with it and other stuff, but it was just an item that I've never used before that's not in our kitchen, so I ended up going out and getting some molasses for those baked suet cakes. It is the heart and soul of the baked suet cakes that will make them stick together for you, so that you can cut them and then serve them as individual servings to your chickens. So I'm going to put in, I got a big bowl here that I'm going to mix it in. This is just chicken scratch feed from our local store here. It's got different seeds in it, cracked corn, and other items. So this is going to go in. My average that I did here is 2 cups each to make it simple. I have, in this bowl, I have oats. So I'm going to put in the oats. And actually, let me put this one back. I'm going to talk about this one just at the end. I have walnuts right here. You can put any kind of nuts that you have in the house already anyway in there. I use these almonds because I've had them in the house for a minute. They kind of started getting a softer texture to them, and I just didn't want them to use in my baking goods anymore. So I chopped them up a lot finer in order to put them into our baked cake. So those are going to go in too. Cranberries, just for that little extra sweetness and that extra peck. Usually they come whole. I did take my time and really cut them fine so that when you cut the suet cakes at the end, it's easier to cut. So last time when I made the suet cakes, and this is what they're going to look like when they're done. Let me show you this. Last time when I made the suet cakes, I put whole corn in there, and I put the cranberries in there whole, and when I cut them, a lot of the items would crumble around it. So I ended up with the squares, but then I had a lot of extra crumbles. It's not bad. You can still give those crumbles to the chickens, and they love them anyway, but for storage and usability for you as the consumer and feeding your chickens, it was a little bit more complicated. And then if you have chicken treat boxes, you can't put that crumble in there because it's just going to fall out. So what I ended up doing with the crumbles is I just mixed it into their daily food the way it was, and I fed it to them that way. So in order to make cutting easier and so it crumbles less, I cut the cranberries a lot smaller, and I did leave out the whole kernels of corn because they were just too big, and when you go over it with the knife, they're just not going to cut down in the middle because they're too hard. And in order to avoid crumbling, we just left it out. Being that in this chicken scratch itself, we already have cracked corn in there. And that's actually the carbs that the chickens will need to keep them warm in the winter. And then I have here black sunflower seeds, black oil sunflower seeds, those go in. And I have all leftover chicken eggs that we did for breakfast and stuff. I just cooked them, well actually I just toasted them, crushed them up, and I put them in here too. It's about a half a cup of chicken eggs. but 2 cups of the sunflower seeds. All right, then we have here some chia seeds, and I got about 5 tablespoons of chia seeds and 5 tablespoons of flax seeds in here. I also have thyme and oregano because it gives them really good vitamins, minerals, and nutrition. So I'm going to put that in here. Then we have here 2 cups of mealworms. And at first I was a little grossed out about these. This is the first time I'm working with them. I've never bought them as chicken snacks before. And looking at the price made us start a mealworm farm. That's another video for another day, so definitely stay tuned when we show you our mealworm farm. So those are mealworms, 2 cups of them. Those are going to go in the bowl. Then I have here honey for the antibacterial and disinfecting properties that it does. So we're going to put in honey. This is probably about half a cup of honey. Now, if you have access to local honey for cheaper, you can definitely put more in here. Honey also is sweet and it's so good for them. It keeps them healthy all winter long. You can make chicken teas with honey and garlic, and it really is good for the chickens over the winter. And then we have here peanut butter, and that's the fine peanut butter. You probably could use the chunky peanut butter. I just had some at home, and the video that I was watching was putting it into, so I'm putting some in. But if you don't have peanut butter and that's not something you keep in your house, no worries, keep it out. The best tip I can give you for making those baked cakes is any kind of grains or seeds that you're going to put in here, make sure that they are smaller. So when you cut them, you're not dealing with big chunks and you're not breaking the cakes up too small. There we go. It's like worms galore in this bowl already. All right. Get everything, all the good stuff out of here. Then in this one, I have just bacon grease and a little bit of pork fat from another meal that we cooked. That's just what I had in the house. I know some people like render their own fats and stuff. If you have 2 or 3 cups of this, feel free to put it in there, depending on how long you want to store it. So this is going to be a lot. This probably will last your chicken several weeks. As soon as we have 40 chickens, so this is actually going to go kind of fast. But if you only have like 2 or 3 chickens and you're making a huge batch like I'm doing right now, I would recommend any kind of animal fats to leave them out because you don't want it to turn rancid and starting to smell. But being that this is actually for us going to be consumed probably in about 3 to 4 weeks, it should be okay. Then in here I have molasses. Molasses is what's going to make this stick all together. And then I ran out of molasses after I baked the other ones, but I have corn syrup, so we're going to put corn syrup in here. And that's just dark corn syrup. Again, it's sweet, it gives them energy in the winter when it's cold outside. And we'll make it all stick and bake together. There we go. All right, there's a couple extra eggs that I have from this morning, and just so you can see it, I just toast them so it turns brown on the inside. Some people wash them, you can do that too. I put them in a toast oven just to make sure it's all dried up, and then I put them in here. Now, being that this batch is already getting baked anyway, I have 2 more eggs that I'm going to put in here. And these guys, I'm not even going to worry about baking the shells because we're going to bake the whole batch. There we go. Awesome. All right, and now to our oats and the secret ingredient. My hands. In here, you can see there's a powder in here, and this powder is cayenne. And that cayenne pepper gives them just the warm, feely, good feels in the winter that keeps them warm in the coop, but also allows them into that sense of, hey, I can keep on laying my eggs. So I put cayenne or chili flakes into the chicken tea, and I also am going to put it into the suet cakes. So those are going to go in here, and they love oats. These are just regular breakfast oats that are in here that we usually would make yogurts, granola, or cereal with. All right, then we'll mix that all up. And this is just such a healthy little treat for the chickens. There is quite a bit because of the peanut butter and the mealworms, a lot of the protein that they need in here. And then the chicken eggs, the shells, is great for their calcium that they're going to need through the winter. And let's mix that all together. Move that over a little bit so you can see that better. There we go. You just want to be careful when you're mixing it so you're not stirring it up too much, because the cayenne will dust and will get in your nose. And it should be quite wet. And when I watched the last video, her batch was definitely a lot wetter than my first batch, and I'm thinking that probably had something to do with why it crumbled a bit more. But the chickens were going crazy for those crumbles. They were loving those cakes. Alrighty. And as you can see, that's a nice big full bowl. So we started chickens in March of this year, which was now 7 months ago. And it's amazing the things you learn when you get chickens. They're such fun to watch. They just are goofy. They're all over the place. They're great pest control. We have a huge piece of property, and especially in the summer here, we have lots of crickets and lots of bugs, and they're just loving them and eating them. But right now it's already October, and our chickens have a little lack of bugs outside. All the bugs have gone backwards, especially we had, for the first time since we've moved here, a huge ice storm, and it just seemed like to kill all the bugs down. So they definitely need a little bit of extra energy this year. But it's just the eggs. I've never thought there was going to be that big of a difference when you taste them. But when you get farm fresh free-range chicken eggs, the yolk is so yellow and so sturdy, and it's just so much, the flavor is so close to a duck egg, like just so rich in the nutrients. And when you make omelets with that, you will never taste anything like it unless you have farm eggs or free-range chicken eggs. So if you have somebody in your neighborhood and you're just watching this that's raising chicken, but you're not raising chickens, I would definitely recommend try to see if you can get some eggs from them from time to time. Support your local little farmer. They love to sell these things to you and educate you on what they're feeding their chickens. Most of the ingredients that I put in here are as natural as possible or organic. Just depends on the area you live in. Some places you get all the organic ingredients very easily. Then you're in other areas and it's a little harder to come by with those organic ingredients. All right, I think we're getting there. That looks nice and well mixed. Got the peanut butter spread out finally too. Alrighty, so now I'm going to bring this a little closer so you can see this. Alright, it's quite heavy, and then I have my containers here. This one's deeper. At first, my first batch I made on a regular baking sheet, and you can do that too, and I lined it with parchment paper, and it did come out great, but because it was skinnier, it was harder to cut. So I did another batch in this one, and because it was thicker, even when I cut it, and even though it was a crumblier batch, the squares stayed better together, just like this one right here. That's actually one of the pieces from in there. There we go. So I'm going to use that one again because I really like the results. And then I'm going to use this one. It's a silicone mat as well, because you can actually push them out individually. So instead of having to cut them, now I have individual servings. All right, let me go grab a spoon and something to pat this down and some parchment paper, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we got our spoon so we can move the stuff over, and then parchment paper to press on top. There we go. All right. So we're going to make sure they're nice and filled and all pressed down so it's nice and tight. The tighter and the more pressed down it is, the better they're gonna come out and stay solid when you release them and when you cut them too, so they don't crumble as much. But yeah, this batch is a lot more moist than the first batch I made, so this one definitely should come out a lot better. And it's all trial and error, so you can put in here whatever you would like, as long as it's something that your chickens usually would enjoy, just like any other time when you feed your chickens, you know, no onions, no avocado seeds, stuff like that. But any kind of chicken treat, any kind of chicken feed that you usually use, that all can go in here. And just like cayenne, it's just gonna give them that extra piece of nutrition that keeps them laying all winter long and keeps them nice and warm, so at night they're not that cold. All right, there we go. One more. There we go. All right, and I probably have about enough here to fill this guy up twice and to fill the blue bin that I have here up probably 2 or 3 times. We'll see. But now that it's nice and stuffed, I am going to take the parchment paper and really make sure one more time that all of this stuff is really pressed down, and then it's gonna go into my toaster oven. You can bake it in your regular oven on 350 for at least 30 minutes. These little guys, it's gonna be 30 minutes. The big square pan that I have here, I think that's a 9x9 or an 8x8. That one's gonna go in because it's thicker. It's gonna go in for at least 40 minutes on 325. So there we have it, that's that. And my parchment paper, and I use the parchment paper just to keep my hands clean. This is nothing, if you want to use your own hands, that's fine, but the molasses is sticky, it's just like when you touch honey, so you want to keep your fingers a little cleaner. All right, there we go. And compressing these and really making sure they're pressed down good is going to make a world of difference when you release them from the form. Alrighty, so those are our new chicken suet cakes in that kind of form. I'm going to put them in here. I've been preheating the oven on 350. Make sure we got 30 minutes going. And then we'll check on them later. So again, thanks so much for watching. These are our suet cakes. They're going to come out looking extremely similar to this. All the good stuff in there for your chickens. I appreciate you joining us today here at Secret Garden Farms. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Let us know if that's something that interests you. If you want to see us doing more different snacks for the chickens, feel free to leave that comment down there. We always love interacting with you. Share us with your friends, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And if you would like to see our other stories, follow us on Instagram or Facebook. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. And bye from Secret Garden Farms.